The Ottoman Empire was one of the greatest and longest-lasting dynasties in world history, a mighty civilization that shaped continents and cultures for more than 600 years. What began as a small principality in Anatolia gradually expanded into a vast empire that stretched across Europe, Asia, and Africa. It was not only a superpower of military might, but also a hub of art, science, law, and architecture that left an indelible mark on human civilization. The story of the Ottoman Empire begins in the late 13th century in the region known as Anatolia, or Asia Minor. At that time, the once mighty Seljuk Empire had fallen apart following the Mongol invasions. The Seljuk lands were divided into small independent principalities, each ruled by different tribal leaders. Among these tribes was the Kai, a small Turkic clan led by a man named Osman. In 1299, Osman established a formal government, uniting the neighboring territories under his leadership. From his name Osman came the term Ottoman, which in Arabic translates to Uthman. This moment marked the birth of the Ottoman state. Over the next few decades, Osman and his descendants expanded their domain through both conquest and diplomacy. His son, Orhan, continued the expansion, capturing the important city of Bursa in 1326, which became the first capital of the empire. From there, the Ottomans moved westward, gradually taking over Byzantine territories near the Sea of Marmara. These victories opened the path to Europe, where the Ottoman flag would soon fly over cities that had once been the heart of Christian kingdoms. As time went on, the Ottoman Empire grew into one of the most powerful states in the world. At its peak, it controlled vast lands: modern-day Turkey, Greece, Bulgaria, Egypt, Hungary, Macedonia, Romania, Jordan, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, parts of Arabia, and large portions of North Africa. The empire became a meeting point of cultures, languages, and religions, where Turks, Arabs, Greeks, Armenians, Jews, and many others lived under one rule. The most glorious period of the Ottoman Empire came during the reign of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent in the 16th century. Suleiman was not only a powerful military commander, but also a wise political leader and devout ruler. His reign marked the height of Ottoman influence, when the empire reached its greatest territorial extent and cultural brilliance. In 1521, Suleiman led successful campaigns into Hungary, and by 1526, his forces had conquered most of the Hungarian lands. Just 3 years later, in 1529, the Ottoman army stood at the gates of Vienna, the capital of Austria. Though the city held firm, this campaign marked the peak of Ottoman expansion into Europe. Under Suleiman's rule, the empire was not only vast, but also well-organized and prosperous. The population reached around 15 million people, and trade flourished between East and West. The Ottoman navy dominated the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and even parts of the Indian Ocean, making the empire a global maritime power. But beyond military strength, Suleiman's reign became known as the Golden Age of Islam, a time when knowledge, culture, and innovation reached new heights. During this period, Ottoman scholars and scientists made remarkable contributions to various fields. In mathematics, astronomy, physics, philosophy, and medicine, their works influenced both Islamic and European thinkers. One of the lesser-known but incredible achievements of the Ottomans was their early practice of vaccination against smallpox. For centuries, Ottoman physicians had been using a process called variolation to protect people from the deadly disease. In 1717, the wife of the British ambassador to the Ottoman Empire, Lady Mary Wortley Montagu, witnessed this medical technique in Constantinople and introduced it to Europe. Long before modern vaccination became common, Suleiman was also a great reformer. He established a secular legal system known as the Qanun, which worked alongside Islamic law to maintain order across the empire. The Qanun clearly defined taxation, administration, and justice, creating one of the most advanced legal frameworks of its time. Because of these reforms, Suleiman was often called Suleiman the Lawgiver in the East and Suleiman the Magnificent in the West. The cultural and architectural achievements of the Ottoman Empire during Suleiman's rule were equally impressive. In Constantinople, now known as Istanbul, majestic mosques, palaces, and public buildings rose across the skyline. The famous architect Mimar Sinan designed some of the most beautiful structures in the world, including the Süleymaniye Mosque, which still stands as a symbol of Ottoman grandeur. The city became a dazzling center of art, architecture, and learning. Its markets overflowed with carpets, textiles, ceramics, and jewelry, while its scholars studied astronomy, geography, and medicine in grand madrasas. In medicine, Ottoman physicians created instruments like forceps, scalpels, catheters, and pincers, many of which are still used in surgery today. Artists mastered calligraphy, poetry, painting, and music, creating a unique artistic identity that blended Persian, Arab, and Turkish traditions. This cultural richness made the Ottoman world a beacon of creativity and progress during a time when much of Europe was emerging from the Middle Ages. But no empire lasts forever. By the beginning of the 17th century, the first signs of decline began to appear. The empire's economic and military dominance started to fade as European powers advanced rapidly in science, technology, and trade. The defeat of the Ottoman army at the Battle of Vienna in 1683 marked a major turning point. From then on, the empire struggled to keep up with the rising European nations. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, the Ottomans lost many of their territories, especially in Europe. The Balkan Wars of 1912 and 1913 were particularly devastating, stripping the empire of nearly all its European lands. Economic troubles and political instability deepened as foreign influence grew. Reform movements were introduced to modernize the state, but they achieved little success. The final blow came during the First World War. The Ottoman Empire joined the conflict on the side of the Central Powers, alongside Germany and Austria-Hungary. After years of intense fighting, the Central Powers were defeated by the Allied forces in 1918. The armistice of Mudros that followed divided most of the Ottoman territories among Britain, France, Greece, and Russia. In 1922, the Ottoman Sultanate was officially abolished, bringing an end to one of the most powerful empires in human history. A year later, in 1923, the Republic of Turkey was established under the leadership of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, marking the beginning of a new chapter for the Turkish people. Yet, even after its fall, the legacy of the Ottoman Empire continued to shape art, architecture, law, and culture across 3 continents. For more than 600 years, the Ottomans stood at the crossroads of the world, bridging East and West, Islam and Europe, tradition and progress. Their story is not just one of conquest and decline, but also of innovation, tolerance, and creativity. The empire that began with a single tribal leader in Anatolia grew to influence millions of lives and still echoes through the architecture, music, and cultures of the modern world today.